My wife laughed at me in front of everyone, the kind of laugh that strips the air from a room. "Guess you should have taken better care of him," she said, brushing imaginary dust off her diamond bracelet. Her sisters joined in like hyenas around a carcass. The lawyer looked uncomfortable, shuffling papers. My wife leaned back, smug. She thought she'd won. I didn't flinch. I'd been waiting for this moment longer than she could imagine. "Actually," the lawyer said, and that single word cracked the air like glass. 3 years earlier, I had carried her father to bed when his legs gave out for the first time. He used to be a giant of a man, the kind who could silence a boardroom with a glance. But in those last years, he was frail, forgotten. His daughters couldn't stomach it. Too messy, too real. So, they left him with me, the son-in-law, the outsider. My wife claimed she was too busy with work. Her sisters said they were raising families. So, it was me spoon-feeding a man who once ran a multi-million-dollar company, washing sheets that smelled of medicine and regret. At first, I did it because he asked. Then because someone had to. And finally, because I saw the way he looked at me, the guilt, the sorrow, the quiet understanding that his own bloodline had already moved on. He started talking to me more than he talked to them about the business, the mistakes, the vultures circling. And then one night, as rain tapped against the window, he said, "They'll sell everything the moment I'm gone. You're the only one who still sees me." I didn't respond, but I remembered every word. After he passed, grief in that house became a performance. My wife cried for Instagram. Her sisters argued about funeral seating. I stood by the casket, silent, watching, listening. That's when the first crack appeared. A voicemail. Her voice, raw with frustration. "Dad's gone." Finally. "Maybe now we can sell that useless company and move to Dubai." I played it twice. Then once more, slower. Every syllable was fuel. I didn't confront her. I didn't shout. I just started taking notes. She thought I was broken after the funeral, distant, numb. I let her believe that. It gave me time. I met with her father's attorney, the old man's most trusted confidant. He remembered me from those long nights in the hospital. Said I reminded him of the man her father used to be. Careful, methodical. We spent months reviewing documents, clauses, shares, and trust funds. Everything looked clean until it didn't. Buried deep in a line of corporate filings, I found it, a clause transferring controlling interest of the company to the caretaker responsible for his final estate. She had signed that transfer herself when we admitted him to palliative care, too impatient to read the fine print. She thought it was routine paperwork. She was handing me the empire. I didn't tell her. I let her live in her delusion, planning vacations, bragging about her inheritance, already spending money that wasn't hers. The farmhouse? Yes, that was in the will, a throwaway asset. It smelled of mildew and memories, and she mocked me for it every chance she got. "Guess you'll be fixing tractors while I'm running board meetings," she'd say. I smiled because I already knew how those board meetings would end. And now, here we were, the will reading. Her sisters gasped when the lawyer announced their inheritance. The business, the big prize. My wife smirked at me, victorious. Then the lawyer adjusted his glasses. "Actually," he said, "per Mr. Harlan's secondary trust amendment, controlling interest in the company transfers to the named executive of his personal estate, Mr. Daniel Reeves." The silence was perfect. It stretched across the room like a held breath. My wife blinked, confused. What does that mean?" "It means," the lawyer said, "your husband owns the business. You and your sisters inherit non-voting shares. Essentially, he's your boss." Her face drained of color. Her sisters turned on her instantly, chaos in designer heels. I just sat there, still, watching the empire she thought she owned crumble in her manicured hands. The lawyer slid a folder toward me. "Congratulations, Mr. Reeves. Your late father-in-law spoke very highly of your loyalty." I took it. Didn't smile. Didn't gloat. Just nodded once. My wife's voice cracked. You planned this." I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in months. "No," I said quietly.
"He did."
I just didn't stop him. That night, I drove out to the farmhouse. The lights flickered. The air smelled of earth and dust. It wasn't a mansion, but it was mine, and it was quiet. I stood on the porch, watching the wind move through the fields, the same wind that used to rattle his window at night. He had seen through all of them, and in the end, he'd left the business to the only one who stayed when it stopped being profitable, the one who stayed for him. My wife used to say, "Money changes people." She was right. It just revealed who I'd been all along. And as the moonlight hit the edge of the deed in my hand, I whispered what I never said at his funeral. "Thank you. I took care of her, too."